Welcome back to Upcycle Art Journals. On my desk today is an idea to do some traditional junk journals. So I have these Junior Deluxe Edition books I've taken the papers out of. I have 8 of them. The Black Arrow, Huckleberry Finn, 5 Little Peppers, The Water Babies, The Prince and the Pauper, 2 Years Before the Mast, Under the Lilacs, and Little for Lord Fauntleroy. So these I got all in a box. I took all the insides out, and I thought, let's do traditional junk journals with these. The only thing I'm not sure about is if I want to cover up, put something in the middle of each one. They're all going to have the same papers in them. They're all going to be the traditional, so they're not going to have like a theme to them. They're going to be more just the common. My thought is to take them to the next craft fair I do. It's kind of like an introduction to what junk journals are, because a lot of people in my area don't know. So I pulled out some papers that I'm going to put in each one, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to show the variety that I like to do. So I always grab a couple colors of copy paper. These ones worked good. I didn't want to do the pinks or the red and green on this, so I just have a light pastel green, light pastel blue, avocado dyed, and then I have 2 lined ones, a blue and a yellow lined paper. I have a computer paper, a vintage one, a vintage graph paper. This is Braille paper. This is a vintage ledger. And this one's even more of a vintage ledger. And then I got into some of the book pages. So this one, because these are kid books, I wanted to have some kid things in it. So just your handwriting page. Here I have a folio of music from a kid's music book. We have a couple pages from kids' storybooks. This is Stepping Heavenward. So different sizes too. Notice how there's, we got bigger ones, little ones. I like the variety of sizes. We have a floral one, a dictionary page, rag paper in a smaller size and a bigger size. Then a really small paper, French. And this one is a ledger that was used, vintage 1908. This is the piano roll paper, a map, a maze, a piece of wrapping paper, a piece of mulberry paper, and a piece of Florentine paper. So with all those, that's close to 30 pages. Because these spines are only an inch, they're going to just need 2 signatures. So that's about 15 pages each, and that will finish out. So without any scrapbook paper, any kind of digitals, any extra papers like that, it will be a very traditional junk journal where we're taking other books that maybe have gotten thrown away, are headed towards the dump, or we're on sale because the bindings were messed up. So I'm going to try those and see if we can just get some basic ones going, and let me know what you think about covering up that front, whether I should put anything on covering up the title, or is that going to be something that I would want to keep. So they're going to be all, and they all have that colored page inside, so that's super pretty. So that's what's next on my desk. So the next thing I want to do is split my papers up into 2 different signatures. So I went ahead and did that. We're going to take our book, and I want to make sure to put book tape on each edge just to help reinforce that. So as a mass make, because I'm doing 8 that are very similar, I can go through and do you know, the book tape on all 8. Do the spine on all 8, you know, and kind of do it like that, or I could do one by one. This one, I have some chipboard already. Now, when I first measured it, I thought it was about 1 1/8, but we don't want it to be tight on that spine because it will split. So I think I'm going to cut it down. I'd rather it be a little small and have room to work and to bend. I have made them too tight before, and it's split that binding, that spine. So I want to keep this spine, but I don't want to put any undue pressure on it. So we're going to go ahead and do a 1 inch. And this is just chipboard that I get from packages. If I buy stamps from the post office, or I buy scrapbook paper, a lot of times it will come with this chipboard. So there's plenty of room for it to move. It's going to fit right into that spine without pushing on anything. So I think that's going to be better in the long run than to have it go all the way to the edge. So next I'll glue that in, and I like to use the A-leans for that. I did just buy another one, but you gotta get to the very bottom to use it all up. I have a couple here that are almost empty. Now I've seen people set them upside down and kind of let them be able to open up when they're ready, but I haven't a spot. Maybe a mug someone's given me, so that if anything drips on, it will just drip in the bottom of the mug. We are going to have some things over top of it, so I want to have a floating spine with this. So we're going to use Craft Tex, but I just wanted to secure that spine in there. So then I just separated these out and kind of made them organized. I just want to check, and I think that's going to be good, especially if we put any kind of pockets or anything in. You know, 28 to 30 pages is going to be plenty for what we're working with. With that, and I don't want to go through the spine. It does have the name on that as well, so still trying to decide what I want to do with that, but I don't want to put anything through the spine. Sometimes I do, but this time we're not going to. And I bought some black Craft Tex. It actually was more of a generic version. Usually I get the Craft Tex, but this time I wanted to try this other one just to kind of see. It was a lot cheaper, but it seems to feel pretty much the same. So if we have a 1 inch spine, usually I do enough to cover up the tape as well. So it looks like, measuring on my board here, I would need at least, I would probably do about 4 inches. 3 might be okay. If I do 1, 2, 3, yeah, 3 would cover it. I guess I'll do a 3 inch. That's usually what I end up doing. So I'm going to use the marks on my mat. Grab our ruler. That side should be nice and straight already. So just new in the package, new in the roll. X-Acto knife down the edge. Try to draw straight and accurate. Okay. So then we want to make that go all the way to the edge. Make a mark, which will be hard to see in the black, but I can see it a little bit shiny there. Now what's nice about these books is they actually measure about 8.5 by 11. So I didn't have to cut down any of the papers, which made it very nice. There's going to be some smaller pages, but my typical, you know, if I used printables, these would be perfect for printables if you did 8.5 by 11, because you wouldn't have to change anything with it. Okay, so that's going to fit right inside there. So what we're going to do is we're going to be sewing our signatures into this piece. And as we sew that into there with a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, then this whole section will get glued down on there. And then just, you know, it'll close up. You won't see any of the tape. You won't see this on the inside. There'll be room for everything to move. These cover end pages are beautiful in all of them. So the next thing we're going to need to do is have a template for our signatures. Now I'm going to use a file folder that wasn't good enough to use to make a file folder journal, because I want to use this several times. I want something that's sturdy. Sometimes I'll just use scrapbook paper or, you know, some different kinds of paper that I have in the scrap bin. But the more times I use it, you know, the bigger the holes get, or it just isn't as good to use over and over. So I want something that's going to be a little bit longer lasting. Now I'm going to want it to be the size of that chipboard. So I'm going to need it to be the 1 inch, because we don't want our signatures to go over where that chipboard is. And I've had them be very close to the edge before. I know this side is the good side. Move that out of the way. My desk shrinks. I think it shrinks when I start using it. I know it does. It just is the incredible shrinking desk. Okay, so I'm going to go just right at 1 inch, which I believe is what that chipboard is. And we'll check it. I think I need some new X-Acto blades. Okay. So if we put that there, perfect. I want it to go to the bottom so I know exactly where it's going to be. And the other thing is you want to mark which is the top, okay? Just so that there's going to be some consistency in making them. So there's our top. We're going to use this for each one of our journals and the 2 signatures in each one. So to do that, a lot of times I have 3 signatures, so then it's easy. I can just fold it in half and do, you know, the 2 on the side. But with 2, you know, we're not going to have one right in the middle. And it's 1 inch. This Tim Holtz ruler is wonderful because it has a 0 mark right in the middle. So you can move it around and kind of get an idea where everything is. We can fold it in half this way to get our center, and do that. And then we can fold it in thirds if we wanted to do it identical, which I probably won't. I think we will not do that. Okay, so we will keep that center one though. So that's where I'm going to put my 0, okay, right above my line. And I'm going to mark it. Let's see. I don't want it too close to the edge, but we want plenty of room. So if we do a 1/4 inch on either side of the 0, that would be right there and right there. Okay. So if you look at that, we would end up with a hole here for a signature and a hole there, which gives us plenty of space on the edge, gives us plenty of space in between the two. So I think we're going to use that. Now I want it to go up as far as it can with a three hole. So the 5 hole, I could fold it there and do, but I prefer doing the 3 just because that's what my brain remembers how to do. So let me see where I want it at. Even doing putting the 0 here. I want it closer. I almost want it up here at the 3.5, I think. So I want a nice long stitch. Make sure everything's lined up. I think I'm going to put it at the 3.5, and then down here at the 3.5. This ruler is just so wonderful. Put that 0 there, and I got 3.5 on both. Okay, and I'm going to just draw a real light line. Help me know where that's at. Okay, so we have there, there, there. And then we're going to scooch over to the other side and do the same. And it should line up, and being a clear ruler is very helpful too. Okay, so we have that line there. So there's my 3.5. There's my 3.5 right there. I do a real light line, and then I have a dot just to make sure they all line up. And you know, these are a hidden spine, so you're not going to see if it's even or not. When this really matters is when you're going through the spine and putting buttons or something on the outside, and you just really want to have that lined up perfectly. This is not as big of a deal because you're not going to see it. Okay, so the next thing we need is our pokey awl, which is hiding. Of course, because the desk shrunk. Let's see. You need this handy tool. So I found that it was in a container I had taken some upstairs to do poke holes and do mini journals while you're just hanging out watching TV. I like using the book blocks from the books that I took apart to be able to have a backing. It doesn't work real great on a flat surface. So then I'm just going to poke the holes where I made a mark. Eyeball it. Like I said, this isn't as crucial to have them exactly right. Okay. And I have not used the black, so that will be interesting to try to see the holes in the black compared to gray, or I think usually the brown is what I use most. Okay, that's good for that. So then this will be our template to use in our signatures. Okay, these signatures are not all cut down to size, so I'm going to go ahead and do that just off camera. These are a little bit long, so I'll either cut them or fold them. I'll see what one I need to do. But I'm going to leave this on here so I remember what where the top was. Okay, they're all cut down to size. It's going to be 8.5, and this one would be about 5.5. There was one, the music paper, that I went ahead and folded. So I'm going to leave my craft tech in the book. And then we're going to need to fold this along one of those lines. that's what we're going to use to do our signature holes. See why we use something thicker than just copy paper or scrapbook paper, because really we're going to be wearing and tearing this. Okay, this is our top. Knock it down a little bit. I could tell because the blue was up. Now there is a few pages that are longer in this one, but that's okay. I rather them come out the top than the bottom. I like to clip it. And then we're going to go ahead and poke the holes in. And I'm going to leave that in there while I figure out which string I want. Now we have 2 signatures, so we need 2 strings. I like to do 1, 2, 3 times the length. So we'll go ahead and cut both of those. And this is a waxed bookbinding thread. Take my needle. Pull that through. Okay. Now this one I want to be the first one. So when you open up the book, you see this rather than that. So I'm going to pull my pokey tool out, pull that template out, go through the middle. Okay. Then I'm going to take this one, line up. That's good, making sure the bottom's the same. We're going to sew it right into this craft text. Go to the top hole. My lighting in here could be 100% better. My overhead light went out, so I just have a little lamp, and it's not so good with transitional lenses and all of that. Okay, let's see. I poked this one, but it wasn't maybe where I wanted it. And if they're too hard to pull through, just grab some pliers. Sometimes I have some pliers I've used to yank them through when it's real thick. Okay, you're going to go back into the same hole in the center. Make sure not to cut through any of the thread because it would split it. Okay, and then we're going to come back in this last hole, which is proving to be difficult with black and poor lighting. And back through this last hole we punched there. Okay. Okay, set the needle up there. Make sure everything is nice and tight. Looks like I might have gone through that one. Oh, see, that one wasn't tight at all. Peek under, make sure nothing's poking out. Tie a nice, tight double knot. And I'm going to cut these just a little bit. Okay, so now we have our first signature in. And I'm going to attach this just to keep it out of the way. Okay? Now we're going to take the second signature, find the middle. Make sure everything's kind of lining up. This mulberry paper seems a little off kilter. Refold that one. Sometimes it doesn't fold as good. Folds in a weird angle. Okay. Find our center. The blue one. Everything's falling to the bottom. Attach the clip. Find your top, T for top. I always start in the middle for the holes. There's nothing really thick in these ones. There's no scrapbook paper, so they're really kind of easy to poke through. Okay, grab our needle. Usually I thread it first so I can go. Well, my phone decided to run out of storage, so we're going to pick up and see where we were, but we're going to go through that middle hole again, and then we have our holes in our tie back. Go through the middle. Come back up to that top hole. Through the signature. Yeah. Definitely have to work on the lighting in here for my own sanity. Okay. Come through that top hole and go back through the center. I like to kind of pull that to the side and go on the other side of it just to make sure I'm not going through the thread. In the center, and then down to that last one again. Like that. Okay, I'm going to pull everything tight. And I check, make sure there's no bubbles. Because once you tie it, you can go and untie it and retie it, but it's not that easy. Double knot. I like to leave a little bit of a string there. Okay. And then we have, see, those lined up pretty good. That would definitely be acceptable on the outside if we had to do it, but we're going to cover it up. So we're going to make sure that's the top of our book. It is. And then we're going to line that up good in there. See how it covers up everything. So we're going to get that all set up. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down and let it dry. And then we'll have our first basics of the book done. While I was waiting for the glue to dry on the black arrow, I went ahead and put the tape and the spine on all the other ones. So those are all set aside, ready to go. And I just used the Aleene's glue again on this one. And you do need quite a bit. And if you have clips, these clips come in really handy to hold it down. So when I glue it in, you want to make sure that it doesn't just glue flat across because we have a bend. So I will take it and I'll glue it all down, and then I'll bend this up and kind of push on it and then clip it along the edges there just to be able to adhere it on all the spots. But we got our basic signatures in. I'll just do a real quick flip through of that. I do like to have writing space. So see pages like this, I may, put a tag or something on. So I don't want to keep them, too plain that they can't be used. This was the longer one that I folded over, and I'll just glue along the edge, and that will be a pocket. The plain pages I'm going to leave alone for lots of writing space. You can see there's quite a bit. This one maybe put some kind of pocket on it. You want to keep some of it intact, especially if there's illustrations. I want to keep those there, but I may put something up on the top. So decorating them will be a later thing to do. And they're going to be really basic decorations. Just, some plain pockets, some plain tags, so that it goes with any theme that the buyer wants to be able to use on it. But I think that's a real nice sample of all the different kinds of pages and papers that you can use in junk journals. There's lots more. I actually started a list, and this has been my big helper all day long, I tell you what. So if you're allergic to cats, don't buy a journal from me. At least these ones. She's been extra helpful. So that is done, and I will grab you. And yeah, and let me know what else you might want to see in the basic journal. If you were going to just get started with junk journaling and you wanted something that might, just help inspire you. And also let me know what we should do about those front covers. If we should just maybe get some kind of nameplate and put journal on it, or just leave it as is. So from my cat Luna and I just hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks.